used to English-speaking persons having difficulties in pronouncing my name. It's the same as with, you had a player in Arsenal, Freddie, what was his name? Ljungberg. That's the way to pronounce Freddie Ljungberg. Okay. Thank you all. I will start the timer here for 25 minutes. I will talk about how to use StatsBomb data or data in general in the world of broadcast, and how data can support stories. This is our reality. Look at the two tweets to the left. I think data is dividing our audience. Probably the two tweets to the left, quite interested in knowing more about data, wanting more data. That's probably the ones sitting in this room and being upstairs as well. But then we have the other ones, and it's like polarization. You either love it or you hate it. Don't mess up with my game. Don't come and disturb me in my game. That's the one to the right. And we have to please all of them, which makes it quite difficult at times, because we see and have ambitions of presenting more stats and more data, but we need to balance that to not have and scare people away. So really we take it gently, and I will present during this presentation I don't know if we could say it's much to say, philosophy of using football data. But we have a philosophy, and I'm coming back to that later on. This is my background. I've been playing football for Malmö FF and Djurgården. That's the two clubs up to the left corner. I have 3 caps. Charlotte, thank you for presenting me as a Swedish national team player. 3 caps. I won't try to be better than that. I'm now the assistant head coach of the Matildas, and at the same time, I'm part of Discovery Network and broadcasting football in Sweden. When I did come in for Discovery 3 years ago, I came from being a part of the coaching staff in Malmö FF, one of the best clubs in Sweden. And I had a year together with Sam Gregory and Simon Banu at SportLogic doing data analytics. So I had what you do in club in mind and what is possible to do in data analytics in mind when I joined Discovery Networks. And my first approach to them was think like a football club, and when you try to create content. So the first thing we did was hire a data scientist and try to get hold of the best data, and we landed on StatsBomb in that case. And when we're looking at data and when we're looking at stats, how they can support the stories that we're telling, we try to look for strengths and weaknesses in teams and players, and we try to find ways to win. That's the way we want to use data. And we realized that it's important if we can have the same terminology as teams have, and if we can have the same definitions as teams have on different parts of the game of football, then we will also make them talk about our data. So for instance, what is a counter-attack? What is a corner? For how long is it a corner? So we brought together 5 analysts from different clubs in the league, and we found the common definitions for as many different parts of the game as possible. And we started build some analysis tools that we felt were missing and that we felt also could make Discovery Networks a bit unique in the way we present football and do the broadcast. And that, in that sense, I would say a little bit what Tom Warwill spoke about 1 hour ago, I will come back to a couple of things he mentioned. Build analysis tools that you're missing is one of them. So what could it look like if you build an analysis tool? For us, I know we won't win any awards or design prizes for this. We're using Power BIs to present the data, and since it's an internal tool, we don't show this to the TV audience, so don't think we're totally off. But we wanted, now the text is quite small, so we built a couple of different analysis tools, and the first one I will present for you is the one about the goal analysis. And that's actually, how do teams score? Quite easy to understand, but it could be a nice shortcut to what is teams doing good and where do they have weaknesses. So this is what a goal analysis looks like for us, meaning we have to the left, to the right, this is possible to see for you. You need the sharp glasses. It's 14 different subcategories in scoring goals. I just can name them. Big mistakes, combinations, corners, cutbacks, free kicks, high crosses, low crosses, penalty, quick attacks, regular play. That is the ones that actually don't fit in at all. It's a couple of them every year. Self-created play, that's individual performance. Shot from outside, through pass, and throw-ins. So every time there is a goal being scored in our leagues, the goals are popping down in one of those categories. One goal can't be in two categories, always one, which means that it's quite important how you set the definitions. In Sweden, all clubs don't have data analysts. Some teams don't even have a full-time video analyst. But teams, because we can share this with teams, a lot of teams, coaches and staff go to this one as their first playing the next team. Okay, just have a look at what it looks like. So for instance, you can see, I will now try to, I have bad habits of, you know, when you have bad Wi-Fi and you're trying to show something off the internet. So I've recorded this. So now it's important that I talk as fast as I'm hovering with the mouse here. So let's see if you can see anything. First and foremost, this is goals being scored. In other words, we have goals conceded too. We have counters, open play, and we have set pieces. So let's have a look at the set pieces. So if you're playing Varberg, they are scoring 12 out of 20 from free kicks. That's a thing. Hammarby, the team being best at set pieces. 9 corners, 7 free kicks. That you need to know if you play Hammarby. Let's have a look at the quick attacks. Djurgården is the team that's number 1. But if you look at proportion of the goals that are being scored, actually Värnamo is the one being in proportion best at scoring goals from counter-attacks or quick attacks. So this is a way of a shortcut to get a profile on teams and knowing a little bit more about them. And then when you watch and prepare yourself, this will probably be in the back of your head. Meeting Djurgården, you will know, okay, we will probably need to deal with their quick attacks. Playing Hammarby, that has scored 18 goals in 23 rounds on set pieces, yeah, we need to put extra energy in it. So it doesn't give the answers how to play the next opponent, but it gives you an idea of where you need to focus a bit extra on. And if someone in the room has a question, just raise your arm and I'll try to answer it really quickly. Okay. Next one up, we had Värnamo. That was the team proportionally they scored a lot from quick attacks. Then we bring that in as a graphics into broadcasting a game of theirs, and we have the idea of let it happen in the game first, then add the stats or the data. In other words, don't throw the data in the face of our audience. Let them see it first, and then add it to the story. I think Tom Warwill said something similar. So that's the way we want to do it. Next one, this is a possibility of looking at it head-to-head. And I will, in this case, take to the left we have goals being scored, to the left we have, to the right we have goals being conceded. So I've chosen in this case to look at the combination of goals being scored from combinations and from through balls, because I think that is quite similar ones. And then we could see that Hammarby is scoring quite a lot from combinations and through passes. They are to the left. And if they play Häcken is actually a team in the top of the table in Sweden right now, but still conceding a lot from combinations and through passes. This is a story leading into the game. They played each other the last weekend. So this way you can put a team scoring a lot from corners. Will they play a team that concede a lot from corners? Then you have a good story leading up to that game. Next part of the dashboard, or where we have the different analysis tools that I would like to present, is looking a little bit at set pieces. You will probably get a deeper understanding of the world of set pieces this afternoon when Stuart is having a talk. But I would just like to bring out one part of the set pieces and looking at corners, and that is to look at the proportion of short corners versus direct or long corners. If you look to the left, so sorry I don't have a laser pointer to help you out. And if you look to the left and you look at the third row, we have Djurgården. Djurgården is the team that has the largest proportion of short corners. It's 37% of their corners are played short. And I don't know about you or in England, but in Sweden, people tend to hate short corners. They're useless. Why do they play short corners? And hands up if you have the same experience. At least a couple of you. So we brought that into, because of course we also know how many of the goals that Djurgården is scoring is coming from short corners versus long corners, and we made a point out of it in a game, and that it could look like this. First of all, when the corner is happening for Djurgården, we tell them, oh, it's a great proportion of the corners played short. By why do they play those short corners? Yes, because they are scoring from it. They're having good combination play, they are dragging defenders out, and they expose what's inside, and they score a lot from it. That is a way you can, in-game, use data analytics and stats and present it in a way that is quite powerful and adding a value for the audience, I would say. Next part of it is our football data philosophy. That was the word I was trying to look for. And just to present, what do we mean? First of all, tell stories that is relevant and understandable. Not just relevant, because it could be relevant, but it's too difficult to describe or too difficult to explain. Then leave it out. It could be understandable, but actually in this game, or when those teams are playing now, it's not relevant. Leave it out. But if you have the combination that is both relevant and understandable, then you have a case. And then when presenting it, start by telling the story and use pictures, images, footages. Then add the data to support the story, if the data supports the story. And then come back to the story. So that's the steps that we're trying to do it. Video, data, back to real life again. I will show you an example and see if you get it. This is back to Hammarby. I know Fran, sitting in the back of the audience here, has been working for Hammarby, so he's probably quite happy I'm using a lot of cases from Hammarby. This is about, we're doing a flashback to the last game when the two teams were playing each other. This is from the studio. What happened in the last game? Yeah, we had that screamer shot from Bojanic deciding that game. And isn't it like Hammarby is scoring quite a lot from shooting from outside? And we raised that as a question and then come in, look a little bit closer at the fact, okay, how many goals have they scored from 16 meters and out from the, and they have scored actually 15 goals. Is 15 goals a lot or is it not? So then try to build an interest for something that looks like a strength for Hammarby, and then compare it with other teams in the league, and all of a sudden we see Hammarby are scoring a lot from outside, and in this case when they're playing Norrköping they don't, but they concede a lot. Then we think we have a good story to tell, or at least a story to tell, and something for the audience when the kickoff is and the game is on, something to have in the back of their mind and have an extra look at. I will give you one more example, and this is just the way we used the IQ platform to get that information. So you can filter, as you see, distance to goal, and we just filter away all shots and goals being scored shorter than 18 yards. And we find, so sometimes we find our stories in the IQ platform. Sometimes we find the stories in the analysis tools that we have built. Next one up, this is Alexander Jeremejeff. He's top scorer in Sweden right now, scored 21 goals in 23 games. He's probably been suspended, so probably it's even less. So he's scoring frequently and good. What we tried to start with, okay, build the story. We said that we have looked at all Jeremejeff's 21 goals to see, is there a pattern? Is there anything that is standing out when in his way of scoring? And we felt like it was actually one run and one pass coming back frequently. So this is the pass you need and the run you need to be able to deal with when you play Häcken. They come in between the lines and Jeremejeff is running in behind. Pass is being played wrong side of the defender, and that's coming all over again. So this is something. Stay off shoulder of the defender, good communication with the one on the ball, and then the run comes and his clinical finishing one-timer. First touch finishes. How many of his 21 goals is with his first touch? It's actually 18. 18 out of 21 goals he's scoring with his first touch, including 4 penalties. What about the other 3? Yeah, they're still in there, and we're using something that we call goal zone, and that's the area, so we keep track on how many shots do teams have, how many shots do players have, and he's almost having all his, I would say, at least 19 of his 21 goals from the goal zone. And then we come back after telling that story in the studio and tell why that could be interesting to have leading into this game. By the way, the 3 goals that he didn't score on 1 touch, he used 2 touches. He hasn't done much of a running with the ball, as you can understand. And this is also possible to find in the IQ, and then you need to go to the raw data to find out whether it was first touch on the finishes or not. We also tried to refresh the way of using match stats. So this is what a match stats looks like after a game. Could vary. We could take one out and one in if it was more interesting stuff. But to actually have those, see it almost as a funnel, where you start with final third entries, then coming to box entries, then coming to shots from goal zone, and have that as a part of the match stats. And that has been appreciated, I would say, by the league, because now the players and the coaches are talking about those numbers themselves. And if they talk about it, we talk about it, we think that the audience also will get interested in it. And that is also, sorry, I heard I got the wrong StatsBomb logo. So added that on top. So all that match stats is also summarized in a dashboard and in Power BI. So it's possible to, you see it's a slider up on to the left corner, where you can look at the trend for the last 5 games, the last 10 games. This is widely used by the clubs, watching their own form, checking how they're performing this season compared to last season, and stuff like that. And I'll try to show you around. So this is what teams creating. Number of shots coming from that goal zone, for instance. That's a quite good KPI for performing well and ending up in the top of the league. But it could also be the box entries, or if you're interested to look at the quick attacks, that is only quick attacks leading to shots. And then also to have a look at, okay, how many times do we win possession on attacking half? That's quite a good KPI to keep track on. And we have that for goals being, or how teams create, but also how they concede, since that is a part. And then you understand that we also have the difference between the two. So that's the way we have chosen to use data in our broadcasting. Just to summarize, be always looking for what's relevant and what's understandable. Use the data to support the story. Don't throw the data at people. Have it more support the story that you're telling. And before, I think I've been working with punditry in 18 years, back and forth for different media houses. In the beginning, I was chasing stories to tell. Now, having access to good data, having good access to analysis tools, we have an expression in Sweden, I don't know if you have it. It is in English, actually. Now it's much about kill your darlings. Kill your darlings means, in our way of interpreting, you have too many and you have to push someone aside. And I think that's the case, actually, working with good data and having that data to support the stories that you're telling. Is there any question that you would like to ask? Because I think we have 1 minute and 50 seconds. So if it's one or two having something, raise your hand. Otherwise, I would just love to say it's a great atmosphere at many of the games in Sweden. Let me know if you want to come. I'll set up a good schedule and I'll tell you what games to watch and not. And if there is anyone from here, from Cotswold, or from the Cotswold area, or knowing anything about the Cotswold, please come and tell me, because I'm going there with my wife the coming weekend. So I need all the good tips that I can get. Thank you very much.